and our viewers here. We've talked about the different types, type A, type B, some of the telltale signs, the symptoms that we can be on the lookout for. But overall, just in your experience, in what you have seen in your caseload, what is one important takeaway for folks to think about when they think of aortic dissection? You know, what is the most important thing people need to remember from this conversation?
Yes, it typically arises in men over 60. Sustained high blood pressure and stress can certainly lead to that. And anyone with risk factors for peripheral arterial disease, and there is a subset, women that are pregnant can also, with unsustained high blood pressure, can also be affected with aortic dissection.
I have
So
one more
I would,
question. Oh, go ahead.
yes, no, please go ahead.
It's more of a personal question because you talk about stress being a contributing factor. You know, I have a slight history, not with cardiovascular disease, but I worked a very stressful job before coming into TV and went to a cardiologist, and it was a combination of stress and also an overconsumption of caffeine that led to some heart palpitations. Fortunately, heart is strong. The ticker is working just fine. We raked in on the caffeine intake. Went to, if you can believe it, that TV is a less stressful job than the one I had earlier. But some of the other contributing factors, stress we talked about, I would imagine, you know, overconsumption of caffeine, working that heart. What are some other, you know, over-exercising for men over 60 who might still be trying to stay in shape? What are some of those contributing factors that people can be on the lookout for? And, you know, maybe they don't have the symptom, but they might want to consult a cardiologist and see what their proper course of action needs to be in that 60 plus range to still stay active, stay fit, but be mindful of your heart condition. I'm very curious.
Yes. Well, I can imagine that you still have a lot of stress in your job, but it is. It's eliminating those risk factors of high blood pressure. So if you know you have a history of high blood pressure, definitely take your medications or make sure that your medication regime is appropriate. Avoid stressful conditions. Some people do say that there is a higher risk with things that raise your blood pressure. So amphetamines, cocaine use, obviously avoid those.
Sure.
Activities that increase your blood pressure, but most importantly, risk factors for peripheral arterial disease as well. So that's tobacco use, age, routine exercise, managing your cholesterol, and having a healthy diet and exercise. So the usual things we say as vascular surgeons to avoid arterial disease.
It always seems like it's the usual things, the duh advice, but hey, look, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Dr. Erica Mitchell, anything else you'd like to add or touch on that I might not have addressed?
I would say follow up routinely with your physician, avoid the risk factors, and if you do experience these symptoms, seek medical treatment immediately.
Again, simplicity is key. Consult your doctor and again, pay attention to those symptoms, folks. 20 out of 10, that's our pain scale. Dr. Erica Mitchell and the folks at Regional One, thank you again for offering this advice off the heels of some tragic news from the U.S. Capitol. We really thank you for, again, the medical guidance and for coming on to give us here locally some insight into aortic dissection. We appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Hey, Victoria, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. We're going to get started in about a minute.
Okay.
I don't see you. If you could turn your camera on for me, please. And then we will.
Oh my goodness, it's his video. I don't see me either. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Can you see me?
I can. All right, we get started in just a second. Let me. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Ariana Poindexter here. We have a very special guest that is going to join us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk right now. We're going to talk about a really incredible event that is really meant to uplift and empower women. It is called the Women's Empowerment Expo, and it's described as a movement that is bringing together women from all walks of life to connect, grow, and celebrate one another. And joining me now to talk more about this is the founder of this event and creator of this event, Ms. Victoria Young Robinson. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to share about the Memphis Women's Expo.
Of course, we love just talking about all things positive in the city of Memphis. All right, so for those who are not familiar, tell us a little bit about this.
So honestly, the expo came from a gap that my co-founder, attorney Carlissa Shaw, and I saw one day just dreaming in her office, which we oftentimes do as natives of Memphis and just lovers of all things 901. And it was a gap that we were seeing. There are incredible women in Memphis doing incredible things, business owners, young professionals, seasoned professionals, creatives, just the whole gamut. And we wanted to create a space that celebrated all of those walks of life, something that felt like a homecoming, a gathering, where women could shop with other female-owned businesses. They could sit in a room and just kind of have that kumbaya, hearing someone else's story to know that they're not the only person going through it right now. So we were like, well, if we don't see it, we have to create it. And that is the impetus of it. And we're just very blessed to host the third year and just very, very excited.
I love that. All right, so 3 years of this. Tell us how this has evolved over the years. What can women expect if they're like, hey, I didn't make it out the first 2 years. I've seen the photos. It looks fabulous. But what on a deeper level can people experience? And is there anything different this year?
So yes, we have had a 3-day weekend. The first night is our VIP reception, and it just brings women together in a very intimate space to network before the weekend. The hustle and bustle starts on Saturday, which is very programming heavy. So we have panels. That has covered nutrition, women's health, finances, estate planning, just really a very holistic topics. So each year we try to change it, based off of attendee feedback. Just what do people want to know more about? Who do they need to connect with? So this year we have a relationships panel that's very different. We haven't had that in the past. We have a young professional, a mentoring panel that is sponsored by a fabulous organization that I care very deeply about, the Peer Power Foundation, because what we wanted to do is this is a multi-generational event. So we want you to come with your daughter, with your niece, and with your colleague, and there's something that is relevant to every woman's life. And also on Sunday, which is our worship service, this year we are including a brunch that is sponsored by Mahogany, also a female-owned fabulous restaurant by one of our mentors, attorney Carlin McCullough. So we have that brunch experience this year. It was like, well, let's add a little more fun, bring in some more of our partners, people that we care deeply about supporting, but also our worship experience. This year, our keynote speaker will be Dr. Linda Willis, who is the pastor of New Life Church of Memphis. So it's just, it changes, it evolves every year. We really are committed and intentional about hearing feedback from our vendors. What we did find out is that, we all know that locally owned businesses, that's the lifeblood of the city, small owned businesses, and we have to be intentional about creating spaces to support them. But there was $100,000 in earnings amongst all of our vendors last year. So we made sure that is a pivotal part of our expo. You have part marketplace, part conference, part church, just all the things that are so fulfilling and soul stirring, condensed to a 3-day weekend.
That's awesome. All right, if somebody is watching this, they say, I want to come, but yes, I don't want to go alone. I may not know anybody there. And sometimes it can be intimidating walking into a place. And, some people may not feel as comfortable putting themselves out there. What would you say to a woman watching this who kind of feels this way, who wants to experience it, but is a little nervous or hesitant?
No, come. You're gonna. We have a lot of people, and I'm very honest that have shared that I didn't know what I was walking into, but I one saw somebody I knew, or if I didn't see anybody I knew, I met someone there, and there have been connections that have been made there. So don't feel alone. It is a room that is. It's not a pretentious or obnoxious environment. I know that sometimes empowerment events get a bad rap, but that is not the intent of this event. That we didn't plan it from a place of you not feeling included and inclusive. It's very welcoming. Don't let that be a deterrent. There are still, I mean, just come. It's one of those like you have to be in a room. I can't describe the feeling, without you coming to the room. So it's my personal invitation. You know me now. So if you see this and if you come and you pull me aside, I promise to, I'll be your sister from that point forward. But we want everyone who can experience it and would like to. And in that vein, we have a few sponsored tickets that are left. So for anyone that's watching this, you can still head to the MemphisWomen'sExpo.com website, and you put in the promo code weekend, and it will give you a free ticket to attend. Now, as I'm saying this, they may be gone, but of course, reach out to us. We really want people to be there if they want to, and we want to remove any barriers for entry. So we have had a lot of partners, sponsors, even Realtor Gina Williams, to sponsor tickets for women who would like to attend.
I love that. All right, so if you heard Victoria, if you don't know anybody, you have a friend and sister in her. If you come, you go up, say hello, and she'll be a warm, smiling, welcome face. What's some of the feedback that you've gotten from people who have gone over the years? Like, what do they say it's done for them as they leave? Do they leave different than they came? What are some of the takeaways that women have expressed to you from past years?
That is practical. That was one thing that we wanted to make sure once you came into the building, if we're talking about personal finances, or we're talking about investments, or we're talking about women's health, that you're able to leave with a direct contact to move that conversation forward. So we didn't want to just speak, if you feel good. Yes, you absolutely do feel good being surrounded by women who are like-minded and you have similar spirits. But at the same time, if you need a new banker, and they've talked about the importance of having a personal relationship with your banker, then you have a banking partner there who can talk to you as soon as they come off that panel. But even more practical, our vendors, we're like, did you meet your goal? Was this an ROI for you? And I guess that's the lawyer in me, the business lawyer in me. Was it worth it for you? And we have had, everyone is, yes, it is. We far exceeded our goals, whether that was just exposing the brand because it's new, or we had a monetary goal that we needed to reach and we surpassed that. And that was very important to us. Like, if you're spending your time with us, if you have, believed in this marketplace, that you actually benefit from it. So the practicality of it, the actual economics of it, and then just hearing even that was the impetus of the Pure Power panel, sponsor panel. It's that, okay, what are we missing for that young professional age group? You're not mothers yet, you don't have spouses yet. So what actually speaks to you beyond the shopping or the other entertainment that we have? And it's like, well, we need to know what it means to find a mentor. And what does that look like? What are we expected to do in those relationships? And I'm not that far removed from those conversations and needing to know how to navigate those conversations. So we really take data seriously, just like in our professional lives, and it's translated over into how we run the expo. We want to know what was said, what was felt, and then make provisions. And even the smallest things, like we need a coffee bar because this is a pretty long day. So those type of things, we listen and we adjust. We know the art of the pivot, so of course we integrated into this event as well.
I love that, and we love a good coffee bar. Lots of,
Oh my
like you said, lots of business women and moms, and people just have a billion things going on. And so I absolutely love that you've thought about everything, even including new panels like relationships and things of that nature. Any other panels you want to highlight that people can expect this year?
It's like, Ariana, I can't give them everything because they have to come
Okay.
and experience it. But we even
Noted.
have, okay, I'll tell you this, we have, which I was like, oh, that's interesting, but like a Botox panel. I think,
Ooh.
in recent years, women are getting more comfortable about speaking about those things, those problem areas that they want to address and not being ashamed about it. So, I was like, this is gonna be good. This is great, to demystify the process, and just to make people feel like if that's what you want to do, we have a space for that for you to learn, and to explore it too. So those are the two. Our Sunday worship experience, we will be covering the fruits of the spirit. And what we say about worship, for us, we want you to come and experience it in our space. It is very inclusive. We are respectful of everyone's beliefs, but we invite you into our space just to see how we worship and what we share. And I just think it is just beneficial for any woman who chooses. And men are welcome to. My husband has popped in, but men are welcome to, especially we have Pastor Keith Norman and attorney Art Horn, who will join us for that relationships panel on Saturday. So it's a space for men too. If they want to, tip in.
I love it. It sounds like a great time. All right, if people are watching this, they want to know, all right, I'm in, I'm going. How do I get tickets? What do they need to know? What's the easiest way to do that?
MemphisWomen'sExpo.com. There will be a link for you to purchase tickets. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. So again, if they want to, I'm gonna even give you all my code. So Victoria 2026. There are a few more of those tickets left too that will give you a free general admission. So there is really no reason, if you have the time and you're interested in, you not being able to be there. So Memphis Women's with an S Expo.com.
Awesome. Action News 5 with the exclusive. Thank you so much, Victoria. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to add?
I'm not just doing it. Thanks. Our sponsors do grow. Baptist Memorial's always been a great partner for us. Peer Power Foundation as well. Just thank you, because of course it is pivotal to the success of events to have people who believe in you. So we are very grateful for their contributions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victoria. The Memphis Women's Empowerment Expo, Friday, July 24th through Sunday, July 26th at the Kent, right?
Yes, at the Kent. And Friday, we will have our VIP reception. I think there may be a few tickets left for that as well. It will be hosted at the Broadway Club at the Orpheum Theater. So really excited to, yes, explore that space as well for our attendees.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Victoria. We appreciate it, and we will chat with you soon.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
You too.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you so much. I'm going to send you a message after this, after I'm done streaming.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
We're getting ready to welcome our friends from the Memphis International Airport. They are going to be having their second annual Runway 5K. I mean, if anything, a very picturesque event and a very unique event. How many of you get to say you ran a race on the tarmac of an international airport? But you don't have to hear it from me. You get to hear it from our friend Mia Harvey from Memphis International, who's sort of spearheading the organization for this second annual event. First off, Mia, good morning. We're happy to have you to talk more about this event and help promote it. Some healthy living here in Memphis in the Mid-South. First off, good morning. What's going to be new, or is it going to be we did perfect the first time, we're going to go again and see if we can recreate the success we saw? We're just excited. We're excited to have you on and excited to promote this event. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you again for having us. We are super excited. So now that we have you're hearing that it's a second annual, so obviously the first one went just great. So we are excited to bring it back September 19th this year. We are expanding how many registrants we'll have available this year. First year we tried to cap it around 1,000. Well, we kept moving up. So let me say this: when we first started to plan it last year, we were like, "Oh, we'll be good if we get like 300 people to participate." Then we got to 300. Then we're like, "Okay, well, let's go to 500." Then we got 500 people to sign up. So then we were like, "Okay, well, let's go for 750." We got 750 people, 750 people to sign up. And so we said 1,000, and we got to about 983. So we're here to be able to have cap at about 2,000. And so if you're interested, I would say go ahead and start signing up now.
That's incredible. And so that's part of the reason why we're having you on. Registration is open. We had the early bird registration. Now it's just the regular window is open. It's in September, so we've got some time to work with. But I mean, as you were saying, I mean, those spots are filling up quickly. Was that shocking for you to see? Because I mean, any inaugural event, you're never really sure, is this going to hit off to a great success? But you just kept expanding the cap, and you hit 1,000 last year. Like, let's not bite off more than we can chew. Let's make sure first and foremost we can handle this. But to practically double the cap, was that surprising for you?
It was a little surprising. We figured that would be a few years down the road. There's a few other airports, not necessarily close here, but that do the same sort of event. So the Miami airport does it, the the Charlotte airport does it, Atlanta airport does it. And so we figured that it would take us a few years to kind of get to those big numbers. But for us to knock it out the park the first year, we're super excited to be able to do that. And so we are definitely, there were some lessons learned, but it went off without a kick. We heard a lot of people that loved the event. Surprisingly, some people said that they did not hear about it. So, we're really appreciative for you guys to be able to help us to spread the word that this is such a cool event. And again, as you said before, who would have thought, or who can say that they were able to run on a runway where actually you'll see planes taking off. You'll get able to run under a 777 airplane. We'll also have some other kind of airplanes out as well. So we're super, super excited about this year.
Yeah, we're showing video from last year. You saw our Jerry Askin. He was one of the MCs. He's a big runner, ran it himself. And it's not one of those situations where you say, oh yeah, it's at the Memphis International Airport and maybe it's in the parking lot. It's like we're showing imagery now. Like we're on the tarmac, we're running underneath one of the FedEx 747s. I mean, it's one of those unique events that honestly adds to a little bit of the enticement. It's not just some trail through a neighborhood. It's like, hey, you want to come run on the tarmac at Memphis International? Let's do it. I mean, how long is the tarmac? Is this a straight line from one end to the other? I mean, it wouldn't shock me if I have terrible depth perception. So if you were to tell me that was the equivalent of a 5K, I'd believe you. But what does our course look like? Are we running in a straight line and then down and back? What are runners going to be able to see when they come and they start from the starting line and into the finish line?
So I've heard a lot from the runners that this was actually one of the best courses because it was flat.
No way.
You have a small incline when you first start, and then really it's just think of it. We wouldn't want an airplane going like this. So it's a really cool flat surface. You kind of do a roundabout, and then you circle back to our to the start finish lines in the same area. So super flat area, and like I said, runners, or the feedback that we got last year is that this was one of the best areas to run strictly because of how the surface was. So, and also I just want to bring up that this is a great opportunity, or a lot of people don't know that the airport, we have a 501c3, so it's called the Memphis International Airport Foundation, and so we do a lot of great things in the community, and so the proceeds from this race is what goes to that foundation, where we're able to expand, get middle school and high school students and even college students interested in careers in aviation. We want to strengthen our talent pipeline here in Memphis. We also have an annual art program that this foundation supports, and other community initiatives where in the area.
That's great. And you're 2 steps ahead of me, because that was my next question. Obviously, registration has a fee to it, but what is it going toward? Well, it's going to that 501c3 that you mentioned, the art project, helping try and promote aviation, getting students involved in those programs. We've got a few in the area. I know Delta State down in the Delta, they've kind of got a pipeline up here to FedEx. U of M's got kind of a fledgling aviation program, commercial aviation program they're trying to build up a little bit. So it's great that in a place like Memphis where we have FedEx, we'd love to have some locally grown pilots, and this is just one of the ways to try and promote that. So great stuff you're doing in the community.
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Parker, also, we the careers in aviation, it's not always the ones we want to expose them to are not necessarily just like the pilots here, but also we have painters that we expose the careers to as well. And so the painters make sure that all of the markings on the runway with a special reflective paint are in federal guidelines. We have electricians here. We have mechanics who work on they don't necessarily work on airplanes, but work on any vehicles that help to support the operations here at the airport. We have operations duty managers that make sure that the runways are clear and safe and in regulation. So those are some of the careers. We have a K9 unit. We have our own police force here. And so those behind the scenes aviation careers are the ones we really want to connect students to as well. And again, those are middle school students and high school students. We have a program called MemSoar, and so that is particular to that age group. And we also, one of the schools that we support right here in the community is the Oak Haven Community Schools as well.
MemSoar, I love that. Thank you for cutting me off, because that is so important. Because I mean, it's those behind the scenes jobs that people don't traditionally associate with the aviation industry, but the folks who paint the runways, we need safe runways for the planes to land, obviously, and there are people who paint the stripes on there. And I've got actually family who are mechanics over at the hub. So, I mean, those are important jobs. You need the planes to work. I've got one friend that works at the new de-icing facility. So, many different, I mean, like, I got some connects over at the airport, but but you're right. It's those behind and it's so important to open that up to students at a young age in high school through MemSoar and let them know that, hey, these are careers that, the flight industry, especially FedEx, it's sustainable, if you will. So, a stable career there. So, so all of that coming from proceeds in part from this Runway 5K. Where are we now? I know registration just opened up, but are you able to see how many spots we have left? I'd hate to promote this and say, now we're already tapped out at 2,000. So where are we right now? Are you able to see?
We're good. We're at about 500. We do know that as we get closer to the race, people will start signing up. I will say, don't wait till the last minute. Like, we are, again, and one reason why we have to cap is because, as you can imagine, running in an airport, one of the most secure places, there's a lot of security clearance that has to go on before you can actually come in this area. And so that is one of the big reasons why we have to, have everyone signed up prior to the race. So I do want to stress that there is no day of sign up. And again, that is because we have to have special security clearance because of where the race is actually located on the runway.
Very important stuff. Okay, so last questions is sort of the logistics. So don't wait till the last day, but where can folks find sign-up information? How much is registration? What is probably the latest? When's the cutoff date for registration? I think there is a cutoff date so that you don't have those last day sign-ups. So last we'll get to is logistical information. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so you can find information on our website, www.flymemphis.com, and you'll see the Runway 5K kind of button at the top of the website. The last day to sign up is September 13th. Again, we have to get everyone's names in, who will be running, date of birth, all of those things. Another big thing is to make sure that everyone brings their ID day of, because those will be check-in if you're signing up. Again, we've got a few spots available. Also, if anyone is interested in being a corporate sponsor, that would be an awesome opportunity as well. You do get a few registrations depending on what level you sign up for. So that's an awesome opportunity to get involved. Again, the proceeds go to a great cause here. We're really doing some great work behind the scenes here in Memphis and the surrounding community, and we will love to keep this pushing. The biggest thing is that you can find the cost, you can sign up. So we're about $45 now. Since the early bird special is over, we have, if you have a stroller, you want to bring your kids, that'll be available as well. We'll have a few little smaller airplanes that you can go and view as well. We've got the Tennessee National Guard is going to help out, and of course our Purple Promise partners next door, FedEx. They're such a awesome team to work with, and they'll be providing the big planes for us as well.
Fantastic. All right, Mia Harvey with Memphis International. Thanks so much for coming on. We're personally excited. I know Jerry's going to be running in it again. I mentioned it off camera. I'm going to sign up. Very excited. Hopefully the weather's perfect. September seems like that prime running weather. If it cools off just a little bit and gives us sort of that intro into fall. Very excited again to help you promote it, and we hope folks will go on the website and fill that cap out again. Maybe we, make that a precedent. We'll just add 1,000 more for the next year and make it a success for MIMSOR and all the other nonprofits and benefits that Memphis International does in the community. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Parker. Sounds like you want to be an MC as well, so I'll get with you after the C.
Hey, I won't say no. So thanks again to her and for Memphis International for always being great partners. And so we're very excited to promote that event. And you heard Mia talk about the information on where you can find info. If you don't remember and want to go back and look, we'll obviously have this on our website, actionnews5.com. Click on the Digital Desk tab. We'll have more information.
Ariana Poindexter here, trying to get my bearings, but we have a really excited interview for you today. So before the new Broadway season officially kicks off this fall, Memphis audiences, they're going to get a very special weekend engagement of the Tony Award-winning musical Suffs. And joining us now to talk more about this is Laura Stracco. She is performing in this incredible performance. Laura, thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, the concept of this is so interesting. Tell us all the things. For people who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about the show, the history, and what we can expect.
So this show is an incredible look into the passage of the 19th Amendment, which was ratified now back in 1920, and it's a very exciting time in the movement. We're coming in kind of at a late point of attack. The movement's been happening for 65 years, and we're kind of seeing the buildup of the old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things, and the energy behind all of that, and how tensions arise, and how everybody kind of wants the same goal, but we're moving towards it in different ways, and the excitement that comes from all of that.
That's really interesting. Tell us, obviously this is, a musical that was, several years ago, but I feel like it may still resonate with audiences today. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's so relevant, a story like this at a time where the country can feel divided, a time when we can feel like we're maybe wanting different things. But this story is all about everyday people doing the thing that they believe is correct, the thing that they believe is just, and fighting for that, and fighting for each other, no matter what the cost. And I love seeing how that resonates with our audiences today, because they understand, they see they feel the call to action, they feel the call to civic duty. They understand that everyday people can make such a difference if they do a service that they feel called to do, especially in efforts for other people and humanity at large. It's an incredible lesson. This story will always be relevant, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And, of course, as you mentioned, this story highlights so many incredible women, of course, Ida B. Wells, which is huge here in Memphis. Was there a particular moment or a person in history that sort of surprised you when you first learned about it, or that maybe you didn't know that kind of stuck with you and will maybe always stick with you?
I was surprised to learn about Phoebe Byrne, one of the women who I play. And, a lot of people think she is just a farmer's widow, small town gal living in Tennessee. And she was a college educated woman. She chose the life and the path that she chose. She wanted to run the family farm. She was incredibly inspired by her son, Harry Byrne, who, of course, cast the final vote to ratify the 19th Amendment in Tennessee, in Nashville. And I was really surprised to learn about her. And of course, like so many iconic women like Mary Church Terrell, Ida B. Wells, Carrie Chapman Catt, Alice Paul, all the women who lead our story, and how integral they were to the success of all women, not just white women, right? Because white women were really the only benefiters of the 19th Amendment, and how everyone fought in their own way for the thing that they knew was right.
I love that. You mentioned, of course, Ida B. Wells and Mary Church Terrell. And of course, there's the connection here to Memphis. So how does it feel to bring a show to a city that has so many ties to these women?
Whew. It is such an honor. It feels like part of my civic duty. It feels like part of what we are called to do as storytellers. Part of our responsibility is to keep these women alive, to keep their hard work resonant, to keep it present and in everyone's forefront, because there were so many women that were fighting for this, and we had male allies too. And to be able to go around the country, meet some of their ancestors, see where they grew up, see how they were drawn to civic duty, it feels like such an honor and an incredibly important one, and a small action that we can take towards the betterment of our community.
For sure. Laura, let me ask you, where are you from, and have you been to Memphis before?
So I'm from Pennsylvania. I grew up kind of between Philly and New York, and
Okay.
I have been to Memphis before. I'm so excited to come back. So right out of college, like about a year after I graduated, I came down to Playhouse on the Square, and I did the internship program at Playhouse on the Square, and then I joined their resident company, and so I was up in Memphis for 2 years. I loved it so much. It made so much of my craft, of my work ethic, of my joy for creating art. And I owe so much to the people of Memphis and to the art history of Memphis. And I'm really excited to just pour back into it. I hope people come and join us and I can just give back a little bit of what Memphis has given me. I'm so excited to come back.
Well, we are excited to have you. And yeah, if you stayed here and you were with Playhouse on the Square, you know all the things. So we are so excited to have you here, especially for this show. Obviously, with musicals, the music is such a big part of the storytelling. Is there a song or a moment in the show that you really love or that audiences usually respond to?
We get such great audience response throughout the show. I think one of my favorite moments is actually our closing number. It's Keep Marching, and the whole sentiment behind it is, you may not get what you want right away. You may not see all of your hard work come to fruition right away, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. It doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting for, and it doesn't mean that it's not worth trying to leave this world a little bit better than we found it. And our director, our incredible director, Lee Silverman, always talks about how the closing number is an opening number because it's a call to action. It's a call to say, hey, everyone, we are coming behind you. Your ancestors are behind you. They're all the proof you need. Shayna Taub's incredible words. And if you just keep marching, keep going, don't give up, and join the people around you in that fight, you cannot lose. It's one of my favorite moments in the show because we get to really have this direct address to the audience to say, please join us and we'll do this together.
I love that. Such an important message. Of course, the show looks back at the fight for equality. And as we've been talking about, it reminds us that the work is not over, right? What sort of conversations do you hope that people have once they leave the theater, or things that maybe spark thought that maybe they haven't thought about, or, maybe deeper thought? What are some things you hope people take away?
I really hope this show sparks conversation for every household, for every friend group, for every family. My hope is that people learn something. I hope that they are like, oh, I didn't know that there was this tension. I didn't know that these people didn't get along. I didn't know that we were fighting in different ways. I hope that they see the thing that I always want to highlight about this movement is just the Black women who were fighting for something that they really did not think they were going to see in their lifetimes, and a lot of them didn't. And how much of a voice box the white women had, and how much sway and pull they had even with the Wilson administration, and how much harder the Black women had to fight. And so I hope people lean into the discomfort of the racial tension in this show. I hope that they are inspired by that, and to just kind of like pull back the curtain and talk about it. Talk about everything that makes us uncomfortable. Talk about everything that feels unfair and unjust, because there was so much of it. And in the face of that, there were Black women who were fighting anyway, in spite of all of that. And I find such incredible inspiration and further call to duty from that. And I hope that people see age differences. I hope they see someone or something that reminds them of themselves, or someone that they love. And I hope that they laugh and cry and dance and play with us, and see that we can do all of those things together.
And if anyone is watching this interview and they say, well, I'm not much of a history buff, I'm not really a musical person, what's something that you would say to them to maybe encourage them to, hey, just give it a chance and to check out stuffs?
Yeah, you don't have to be a history buff to enjoy this. A lot of my friends and family that have come to see this are not like huge history fans. It's a story about everyone's voice being heard. It's a story about how we contribute to a better life. It's a story about, if you have a woman or women in your lives, you're going to love this show. It's a show for everyone. It's a show I hope people bring their kiddos to, because it's about amplification and lifting as we climb, as Ida and Mary say. And it's a story, it's a generational love letter that we can make a promise to those that come after us that we'll leave it a little bit better than we found it, and we hope you do the same.
Awesome. And Laura, tell us again when people can see it and where.
Yeah, we're gonna be downtown Memphis at the Orpheum. We're gonna be there July 31st through August 2nd. We've got 4 shows there, and I do hope that you will come and spend some time with us. Come march with us. Come see what it's all about. I promise you'll laugh. I promise you'll have a good time. You'll probably laugh at me.
I love it. Laura, let me tell you, you're doing your job here, because you are convincing me and so many others. Like, you make me excited to want to check it out, the way you talk about the history and your passion for it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here and for talking about it.
My absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see you, Memphis. I love you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it. You have a good
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis. As we go through the course of this Thursday, good news is that the weather is going to be quiet and still with low humidity here across the region. I will tell you that we will still have a few more clouds in the sky, so it's not going to be bright sunshine all day long. But hey, we'll take whatever we can get with the lower humidity while we have it, because it's not going to stick around for very much longer. Highs will top out in the 80s, northeasterly breezes flowing in around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we start adding a little bit more moisture, and that's going to lend itself to a little better chance for a few few showers and storms. Generally along and south of I-40 where we have a stalled frontal boundary. That will kick off again some scattered showers during the course of the morning. Places like Oxford to Senatobia, as well as Holly Springs, Corinth, and Ripley, Mississippi may eke out a couple more showers and thunderstorms through the course of the morning and afternoon hours. Farther to the north looks a little bit drier, maybe a little sunshine still mixing in from time to time as we make that run into the upper 80s, close to 90 in a few spots. Even better chances for rain could have impact on your weekend plans, primarily on Saturday. But Saturday morning, there will be a chance for rain and storms. Remember, it's a warm front that will be lifting northward. So that warm front kind of gets lodged somewhere along that Highway 412 to Highway 45 corridor from Dyersburg to Jackson to Corinth. That will start off the process of scattered showers and storms, and then there will be more sporadic activity that refires during the course of the afternoon, randomly placed, randomly timed, as we continue with high humidity and also the potential for that next system on Saturday. As far as severe weather is concerned, not likely, but some heavier pockets of rain not completely out of the realm of possibility to have impact on you overnight Friday, continuing into Saturday. Then Sunday, the drying out process happens, and we will start to see the temperatures coming back up. 70s to near 80 early on Sunday morning, mid-90s the call during the afternoon hours, and we start off close to 80 on Monday. And guess what? We go up from there. 99 the forecast high coming up on Monday afternoon, mid to upper 90s, maybe a few spots attacking 100 in a few spots. It feels like temperatures running between about 105 to 110. It may be even hotter on Tuesday. There may be more instances of highs getting closer to 100, but feels like temperatures 108 to 114, I think, as we go into your Tuesday. Wednesday, it's still hot. Maybe a chance for a shower or thunderstorm, but not nearly as hot as it could be, right? We'll go middle 90s. And yeah, easing back a couple of degrees, but still going to be plenty hot that you need to be prepared for the heat and humidity situation. That continues Thursday of next week and will ease back closer to average as we head towards Friday, Saturday of next week, the following weekend, heading into the first couple of days of the month of August. But the final days of July look disgustingly hot, especially as we head into the first couple of days of it, the final week, with highs in the upper 90s, close to 100. Keep in mind there will be a chance for a couple of showers and thunderstorms to keep an eye on during the course of Friday, more so Saturday. So stay up to date with the very latest on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Will keep you advised throughout the course of the weekend.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Parker King. We have a special guest with us from Regional One Hospital. We're here to talk about the renaming of a certain syndrome and the reason behind it. So polycystic ovary syndrome is the topic. It's getting a name change, and I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the matter, but my friend here, Laura Hemel, is with Regional One here to talk about the renaming of polycystic ovary syndrome. We're going to talk about the new name, the reason why. First off, Dr. Hemel, tell us a little bit about your specialty, and then we'll get into this syndrome. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I am an OBGYN academic specialist, so I both work for Regional One, but I'm also an assistant professor for the UTHSC Department of OBGYN. So we take care of a host of women's health issues.
Got it. And so why the name change? So quick note, guys, the name of polycystic ovary syndrome is being changed to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. And you're going to be able to get into the actual medical details that give us an understanding why this name was changed. And so I want to go into that. Was this too broad of a name? What was the reason behind this particular name change that we're addressing here?
So the name change was to address the misnomer that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it doesn't just have to do with the ovaries, it has other metabolic potential consequences and risks. And so providers and patients internationally were surveyed for the name change. This was published in May of this year through The Lancet. They interviewed over 14,000 providers and patients, and 84% of them agreed with the name change.
Okay, so a name change is significant, especially if someone has had this before. And so, how will this impact patients in the future? Like, what benefit does it serve to patients who are now diagnosed with this?
Yes, it's both an exciting time for women's health, but also can be confusing because PCOS is so widely known. So the hope is that this improves time to diagnosis because you don't have to look a certain way to have PCOS. So typically your OBGYN may see these patients if you start having changes in your menstrual cycles or concerns with infertility, and we find the syndrome then. But this also can be managed by your PCP and endocrinologist, can be multidisciplinary because of the increased risks of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, elevated cholesterol, infertility, uterine cancer, sleep apnea are all risks associated. And so by improving time to diagnosis, we're hoping that down the road that can improve patient outcomes.
You're segueing perfectly into my questions about symptoms, for someone who might be on the lookout for this. So what are we talked about briefly those symptoms, but how common is this? We don't want people to think that just because they have sleep apnea or if they have high cholesterol that they might automatically be slated into this diagnosis. So how common is this? And if you do see these symptoms, should that mean setting up an appointment with your OB?
Yes, of course. So this is actually the most common syndrome for women of reproductive age. Between the literature, you see between 7 and 15% of reproductive age women have this diagnosis. But we use the diagnostic criteria called the Rotterdam criteria, and you need 2 of the following 3 symptoms. So the first is signs of anovulation or not releasing an egg at the time of your cycle. This can be seen through missing cycles, or we can do some lab values to check that. The second would be signs of a hormone imbalance, and this is increased testosterone or the male hormone. And then the third is if we see more cyst on your ovary than we would expect. And that's where the polycystic ovary portion came in. But you only need 2 of the 3 to be put in this diagnosis or this syndrome.
Got it. And so the next question just involves treatment, care. What is that next step? You go to the OB, you check 2 of those 3 boxes at the very least, you receive this diagnosis. What is the next step in terms of medical practice in your field to treat this?
Yes, so it does depend on patient goals if we're trying to optimize for potential pregnancy and things, or if we are working to manage symptoms. So the first is maintaining a normal weight, and that is something that you can talk about with your OBGYN, with your PCP or a nutritionist. The other options include hormonal pills that help either with the hormonal imbalance, regulate cycles, protect your uterine lining. And then if pregnancy is a goal, there are different medications that we can do to help with that. And then screening for those increased risk factors that you have.
Got it. Just a final question. So and again, not a medical professional, so some of this is genuine curiosity. Is there still going to be a polycystic ovary syndrome, or where this is like a new name that's been taken out of that because you were afraid of the misnomers that were associated with it? Or does that diagnosis go away altogether and we're now under this new umbrella of the polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome?
So this will be the new name for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Same syndrome, new names, and it hopefully will open the door for more research and more monitoring and things for women's health.
Okay, Dr. Hemel, we've covered a lot here in the last 10 minutes or so. So if someone's just hopping on and they want the elevator pitch right now, the reason why this name is being changed, the syndrome is being changed, and if you're in that age gap of women able to be giving birth, what's that elevator pitch from a medical standpoint about this new name change for polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome? I'm trying to get it in as much as I can.
So the new name change from PCOS to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, it is a lot, PMOS, is to better reflect the syndrome and its risk factors and how your medical providers can help in a multidisciplinary way to help manage those risks.
Perfect. Dr. Laura Hemel with Regional One, thank you so much for coming on. Like you said, one of the most common, if not the most common syndrome that you see, and a new name change and a reason why I think is going to be beneficial to our area and hopefully anyone else that sees this interview. We thank you for coming on. We're always thankful for Regional One providing us the best medical partners to talk about these issues. Thank you again.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Ariana Poindexter here, and we are talking about some more headlines, of course, nationally, but also entertainment headlines that we have on this here Thursday. All right, so one of them is about the latest Broadway show that's going to be filmed for the big screen. We are talking about Hadestown. It won 8 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. David Daniel takes us down the railroad line to Hadestown.
Multiple fire engines currently out of service.
If things start breaking down, places are going to burn and people could get hurt.
When seconds count, the fire truck could be years away from arriving.
If we can build a Super Bowl stadium in 2 years, why can't we build a fire truck in 2 years? It shouldn't take 3 to 4 years to get a life-saving piece of equipment in the cities across this country.
America's
Eurydice and Orpheus, Hades and Persephone, Hermes and the rest return in Hadestown, the musical.
Kinda makes you wonder how it feels.
The stars recalled joining the production early in the process.
At the time, of course, it was a series of songs. It wasn't yet a narrative musical. But the idea of interweaving the stories of Orpheus and Eurydice, a young couple in love, and the story of Hades and Persephone, an older couple in love, it was wonderful and something that attracted me.
Eurydice was a hungry young girl.
Your ticket.
And Hades gave her a choice to make.
To look back from me getting so nervous at the audition and the chemistry read with Reeve, and like from that to today is a pretty wild roller coaster ride of just the amazing history that we've had with the show.
Wait for me, I'm coming.
Through the evolution of the stage play to the screenplay, we have done an excellent job, and I think audiences agree.
There's a catharsis, I think, that happens with the audience, and I think even as performers, I would feel that night after night, and I think that that's certainly something that is, not, I don't want to say addicting, but like it's a feeling that you often need and want to go back to.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
All right, now to Los Angeles, where first responders there, they are taking part in a program where they partner up with musicians and songwriters. The goal is to take their stories and turn them into music. Elise Martinez has more.
Inside the historic Larrabee Studios in Toluca Lake, Pasadena City Fire Captain Matthew Caffey listens to a song about his experience battling the Eaton fire.
People don't understand the gravity of what we had to go through, and it's just tough stuff.
Artists taking his story and playing it back for him in a song. Caffey is still weighed down by the memories of the death and destruction in Altadena.
And we tried, and there were some people that we couldn't get to. I think that's part of the song, the lyrics. You'll feel that when you listen to it.
We know that it's the job, and we're never gonna stop trying to get
Retired police officer Mike McGrew co-founded 911 at Ease International, which offers free, trauma-informed counseling for police and firefighters dealing with work-related stress and mental health issues. It's served more than 13,000 first responders nationwide. 911 Project Harmony is a new project within the organization.
I did it all just for you.
It takes a lot of courage to tell your story and to be vulnerable, and that's what they've done.
It's here that first responders tell their stories, then sit in on the writing and producing process with some of the best in the business, and then they watch as their song is recorded.
Front seat staring down Palm Street. I never thought this is where I'd be.
First responders have higher rates of depression and suicide than the general population, and music programs like this are a way to put their pain into words and to help heal some of their scars.
it's a little overwhelming. The recording and working with the artists, and for them to be able to collaborate that and put it into words it's life-changing.
I'll give it all I've got. I'm never gonna stop.
In Toluca Lake, Elise Martinez, CBS LA.
Stop trying to get to you, get to you, get to you. Stop trying to get to you, get to you.
Claiming that Olive Garden has stricter policies than American voter ID laws. That's because customers need a photo ID to redeem the restaurant's never-ending pasta pass. CNN's Tom Foreman explains.
First round, get your go-to. Second, have what she's having.
An Olive Garden diner asks online if his whole family can share his never-ending pasta pass, which is good for months. The restaurant chain says no, it's only for use by the pass holder, who must present a valid photo ID. And that prompts White House advisor Stephen Miller to serve up some piping hot politics.
We've reached the point as a society where access to fettuccine at Olive Garden is vastly more secure than deciding who is commander-in-chief of the country.
Some Republicans have bellied up to that table fast, asking their fellow lawmakers to pass the Save America Act, please.
We're protecting our breadsticks more than our ballots in jurisdictions across this country.
They've been pushing the measure for months to put strict new ID requirements on anyone trying to vote.
The only reason you can be against that is if you want voter fraud.
It's a main course for President Donald Trump, who implied he simply overpowered election fraud when he won in 2016.
Folks, the system is rigged.
That he was cheated when he lost in 2020.
It was a rigged election.
And even now, back in office, he relentlessly claims corruption is common when Americans go to the polls.
This cannot be allowed to continue.
The fly in the sauce? It's not true. Courts, election experts, and researchers have found time and again that voter fraud at any level is exceedingly rare and almost never decides the outcome of any election. Still, the GOP keeps dishing distrust on the issue.
Olive Garden takes pasta pass security more seriously than Democrats are taking election security.
Even as many Democrats say, the Save America Act could discourage legal voters by stoking fears and raising onerous requirements, such as proving citizenship or making a married woman prove she changed her name long ago, not for pasta, but for a constitutional right.
We've got a topic coming up in an interview that I think most people can relate to, right? It is summer, of course, and it is getting extremely hot outside. Even if you're outside for just a few minutes, you just feel how toasty it can get. And of course, with the rising temperatures, it's important to know how to stay safe when those temperatures do climb. And joining us now from Regional One Hospital is Dr. Anna Yang. She's here to help us separate the normal, it's hot outside that we could be experiencing with when we may need to, take things more serious, any signs and things of that nature. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so first, let's talk about, in general, heat-related illness, right? We talk or we hear about that word often. Can you explain what that is and how we may know that something may be a little more serious?
Yeah, so there's a whole range of heat-related illness. I mean, we have things, as minor as just some, very mild dehydration and feeling warm to, heat exhaustion being, more significant warning signs from the body that this needs to be taken care of quickly. And then all the way down to the most severe with heat stroke, where somebody's body can no longer compensate for the heat outside. And it's gotten to the point where it's affected their brain function and their ability to think and mentally function at all. So there's a huge range of different things.
Absolutely. And Dr. Yang, I want to apologize. I want to take a step back and rewind. Tell us exactly your title and what your everyday work is at Regional One Health.
Yeah, no problem. I am an emergency medicine physician and also a family medicine physician as well.
Okay, so I imagine you see a lot of things, especially when it comes to this topic. Have you started to see any heat-related illnesses, or is it still a little too early in the summer for that? What are you seeing right now?
No, it's definitely not too early. I mean, the weather's kind of been fluctuating lately, and so what we've been seeing has also been fluctuating. But definitely with the more extreme temperatures, we are seeing a lot of heat-related problems and symptoms. Most of them, fortunately, have been minor and fairly straightforward and simple to correct, and they've generally done really well. But there have been some cases where it has not been so straightforward, and there have been some pretty significant heat-related injuries as well. But the temperature alone doesn't account for it too, right? If the temperature is high and not necessarily extreme, but what the person's been doing is prolonged exposure, or they're at higher risk, or they're doing some intense activity, you can get heat-related, pretty significant heat-related illnesses too, even when the weather isn't necessarily, that temperature number isn't necessarily that high.
No, for sure. That's a good point. Can you talk about who's most at risk? I would imagine it, impacts everybody, but I'm sure there are some people or different groups that kind of could be more susceptible to this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the typical, young, healthy adult with no major medical conditions generally do really well as long as you listen to the, signs and symptoms of your body. Get inside when you feel like it, making sure, you're staying protected with your skin and staying hydrated. Most of the time, those things are adequate for your, regular, normal, healthy adult person. However, very young people and older people as well don't have that ability in their bodies necessarily to protect themselves or regulate their own bodies. Internally, it's generally the hypothalamus portion of the brain that regulates temperature. And so when we feel hot, when our body receives that signal that the temperature is rising, we sweat, we are able to get our blood vessels dilate to try to release some of that heat. And for the most part, that's a great, cooling mechanism. But, older people and the very young have a difficult time doing that. On the other side of it too, we have, our homeless population and also those with mental health illnesses as well. And if they're either unable to get somewhere cool or unable to have access to, hydration or skin protection methods, or just can't mentally figure out how to do these things or don't know to do those things, these people are at very high risk as well.
Absolutely. For me, you mentioned children as well. I'm a mom. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I think about the car seat in the back seat and how hot it gets. And even if you have, a newer car, sometimes there's not vents in the back. And so anyway, I'm thinking about how I can keep my kids safe and whether we're in the car, or outside, playing on the playground. I know staying hydrated is important. How much water is enough? And what are some other things we can kind of do to making sure that we're cooling ourselves off or, just staying hydrated?
Yeah, so there are a lot of numbers floating around out there on how much water somebody should drink. Some of them are weight based, but I think the most important thing is to listen to your body. So, before you go outside, make sure you're preparing for that and already starting the hydration process so that you get ahead of it. But definitely any signs of, dry mouth, your urine is darker, or, you just feel more tired, or, even a little bit lightheaded. Those are already signs that you're in kind of the mild dehydration phase. And so you really need to get ahead of the water. And in general, water is sufficient unless somebody is heavily sweating and losing a lot of electrolytes really quickly. And in that case, some of those electrolyte drinks can help improve the efficiency of rehydration.
And at what point does somebody know, okay, hey, I recognize signs, I need to take a step back, drink more water, get in the shade, versus I need to go to the emergency room and see a Dr. Yang, for example? What are the differences? How do we know when it's getting a little more extreme?
Yeah, so for the most part, heat exhaustion is something that can be managed, sometimes with the help of, friends and family. But most of the time, your usual dehydration, feeling unwell, heat exhaustion can be managed without a trip to the emergency room. That includes things like, getting to a cool location as quickly as possible. Evaporative cooling is very effective. So if in addition to the sweat you're already producing, spraying someone with water and then getting them in front of a fan, that kind of evaporation effect is great for cooling. Putting ice packs in areas that have kind of blood vessels that come right up to the skin to help your internal body release some of that heat. So areas like the armpits or the groin or the neck or even the wrists are really great for that as well. So most of the time after this, drinking water, remaining in that cool environment for a while, people feel significantly better and can go back to their, normal day. But if that isn't working, then that's the time to go and get some help. Or if it's so severe to the point where somebody's confused, not acting quite right, they seem kind of out of it, maybe they're hallucinating even, something's mentally wrong, then definitely get them straight to the ER at that point.
And before I let you go, are there any, heat safety or heat related myths that you wish people would stop believing or may not be as true as we hear about or think?
I mean, I think the most common thing we hear about is just that somebody thought it just couldn't happen to them, right? They're fine. They're a healthy person, so this couldn't possibly happen to me. And not preparing for it and not thinking about it is usually when people get into trouble. But as long as you do think about it and prepare for it, and it's a head to toe process. It's not just, making sure you have water, but also, dressing appropriately, having a wide brimmed hat, wearing, loose, light clothing, good breathable footwear, socks, sunscreen. I mean, all sorts of things all play into preventing heat related injuries. And as long as you think about those things and, don't assume that just because you're baseline healthy doesn't mean this couldn't possibly happen to you. As long as you protect yourself, most people will do just fine.
Awesome. Very important and timely tips, Dr. Yang. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And things are only going to get hotter from here. Let's be honest. We live in the Mid-South, right? So
Yep.
Thank you for these.
And the
tips. We
humidity,
appreciate
that adds to
Oh,
it for sure.
I know it. It is brutal out there. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, sometime this summer.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you so much.
Yeah,
All
sounds
right.
great.
Have a good
All
one.
right.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis. As we go through the course of this Thursday, good news is that the weather is going to be quiet and still with low humidity here across the region. I will tell you that we will still have a few more clouds in the sky, so it's not going to be bright sunshine all day long. But hey, we'll take whatever we can get with the lower humidity while we have it, because it's not going to stick around for very much longer. Highs will top out in the 80s, northeasterly breezes flowing in around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we start adding a little bit more moisture, and that's going to lend itself to a little better chance for a few showers and storms. Generally along and south of I-40, where we have a stalled frontal boundary. That will kick off again some scattered showers during the course of the morning. Places like Oxford to Senatobia, as well as Holly Springs, Corinth, and Ripley, Mississippi, may eke out a couple more showers and thunderstorms through the course of the morning and afternoon hours. Farther to the north looks a little bit drier, maybe a little sunshine still mixing in from time to time as we make that run into the upper 80s, close to 90 in a few spots. Even better chances for rain could have impact on your weekend plans, primarily on Saturday. But Saturday morning, there will be a chance for rain and storms. Remember, it's a warm front that will be lifting northward. So that warm front kind of gets lodged somewhere along that Highway 412 to Highway 45 corridor from Dyersburg to Jackson to Corinth. That will start off the process of scattered showers and storms, and then there will be more sporadic activity that refires during the course of the afternoon, randomly placed, randomly timed, as we continue with high humidity and also the potential for that next system to come down the pipeline. It's actually a little disturbance that will come down the pipeline of that frontal boundary on Saturday. As far as severe weather is concerned, not likely, but some heavier pockets of rain not completely out of the realm of possibility to have impact on you overnight Friday, continuing into Saturday. Then Sunday, the drying out process happens, and we will start to see the temperatures coming back up. 70s near 80 early on Sunday morning, mid-90s the call during the afternoon hours, and we start off close to 80 on Monday. And guess what? We go up from there. 99 the forecast high coming up on Monday afternoon, mid to upper 90s, maybe a few spots attacking 100 in a few spots. It feels like temperatures running between about 105 to 110, and maybe even hotter on Tuesday. There may be more instances of highs getting closer to 100, what feels like temperatures 108 to 114, I think, as we go into your Tuesday. Wednesday, still hot. Maybe a chance for a shower or thunderstorm, but not nearly as hot as it could be, right? We'll go middle 90s. And yeah, easing back a couple of degrees, but still going to be plenty hot that you need to be prepared for the heat and humidity situation. That continues Thursday of next week and will ease back closer to average as we head towards Friday, Saturday of next week, the following weekend, heading into the first couple of days of the month of August. But the final days of July look disgustingly hot, especially as we head into the first couple of days of it, the final week, with highs in the upper 90s, close to 100. Keep in mind there will be a chance for a couple of showers and thunderstorms to keep an eye on during the course of Friday, more so Saturday. So stay up to date with the very latest on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Will keep you advised throughout the course of the weekend.
And we have a very special interview coming up for you. This is the Branding Brunch. So this is a Memphis event helping professionals refresh their image, their brand. There's going to be photos, brunch, of course.
And as summer is winding down, we're still talking about the importance of being safe out on the water. So joining me now is Elena McCaslin. She's the aquatic supervisor at Lifetime Collierville. Elena, thanks so much for joining us. Today we're talking about water safety, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we are so excited to talk about Lifetime, but talk about the importance, whether people are visiting pools, they're visiting lakes, maybe rivers. Water safety is critical, not just this time of year, but always.
Yes, water safety is important all year round because we're always around bodies of water, whether that's a pool, lake, beach. We're always visiting places like that. And it's super important that parents are always watching their kids and making sure they stay safe in those bodies of water, because no matter how deep it is, there could always be a risk of drowning. And that is something we always want to be able to prevent ahead of time.
And tell me a little bit about your swim safety tips for families. What are some things that they always need to remember when they're heading out on the water?
Some safety tips I would say is, one thing we do here at Lifetime is a 25-10 test, to where if a kid cannot they cannot swim 25 meters continuously, then a parent or an adult needs to stay within 10 feet of them. That is alongside of us having lifeguards on stand all the time, because then the parent is kind of that first barrier of prevention and the lifeguard is the second, just in case. So I would say that's one step, is making sure your kid can swim a little bit. And if not, then making sure you're always within a certain amount of distance. And then second is just kind of getting into those swim lessons. We have swim lessons for all ages here at Lifetime. We start as early as 3 months, and we have some for adults even who want to maybe get a little bit better in their swimming skills. So I would say those swim lessons are super important, even just helping like our younger kids if they accidentally fall into the pool, just teaching them those skills to float onto their back or reach to the edge so they have that survival chance.
And I know when we talk about confidence in the water, I know you offer swim lessons for all ages, but research suggests starting as early as possible builds children's confidence in the water, so then they're not really afraid.
Yes, that is one thing for our younger levels, is that we're very much like making sure they are comfortable in the water and not scared of it, because sometimes that if they start to drown and they're super scared, that can make the drowning process a little bit faster if they're flailing around a lot. But if they stay calm and resort to their swim lesson skills, it may give them a better chance.
And we talked a little bit about the 25-10 rule. Tell me a little bit about some other safety tips. I know there's I guess it's called a 1-to-3 swimmer to non-swimmer ratio. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so we definitely have that here at Lifetime, especially with our summer camp and our kids academy. We recommend parents that one parent for every 3 non-swimmers. That way you're not having to focus on a bunch of kids that may be in life jackets or can't swim super well, so that you can focus on a certain amount and not having your head pulled to so many different directions that you may miss one that is struggling a little bit and needs some help. So we do recommend one parent or adult for every 3 non-swimmers. And for our swimmers, it's a 1-to-6 ratio for that as well.
And we know that safety is super important, especially at Lifetime. Talk a little bit about, people may not think about this, being CPR certified. Sometimes when people think about going out on the water, they're not really thinking about the possibilities that they may have to perform CPR.
Yes, CPR is super important. I recommend everybody get CPR certified if they are able to. It is such an important skill that you can use in every aspect of your life. You may not even be at a pool, and you may just be out and about, and nobody else may be able to perform CPR, but you have that skill and it could help save somebody's life. But especially at pools, that is one of the first things. If somebody becomes unresponsive in that water, we have to pull them out as soon as possible and start administering them breaths and start CPR as soon as possible to give them that best chance.
And we know that safety experts say, of course, with the heat that we're experiencing, but of course, just being active out there, taking breaks at least every 2 hours is important. How long do your swimming lessons last when you're doing them over there at Lifetime? Is it based on age, or is there a certain duration that you like to do per class?
So all of our swim lessons here at Lifetime are 30 minutes. So that way the kids aren't exerting themselves too long in those swim lessons while still retaining the information that our swim instructors are providing them. But with the heat out, with just normal family swim, if our heat index gets over a certain amount, we do a safety break every hour. And if it's not, we still do that safety break every other hour so that it provides the kids and the families a little time to maybe get some water, have a little snack, just rest a little bit. But it also gives our lifeguard some time to get out of the heat and get themselves some water and a little rest as well.
And Elena, I want to talk to you about this and talking to some people that have been talking about water safety. The color of your swimsuit actually matters when you're getting into the pool. That could be the difference between a very dangerous situation and getting someone out of that water very quickly.
Yes, that is something us as lifeguards, we train a lot of, is making sure we are scanning and identifying those kids. And the bathing suit color can certainly help that. If it's a neon, like a bright yellow, bright green, bright pink, that can help us identify the kids a little bit faster if they are maybe struggling in the water. And I know it's a little bit different maybe in like if you're at a lake, the water can be a little bit darker. So the bright colors are especially important then. And then I know at the beach, it's a little bit different too, just depending on the area with what color as well.
And Elena, are there any other things that parents can do to ensure their children's safety this season? We know we talk about life jackets, we talk about teaching them how to float on their backs. What are some other things that they can be doing to make sure the kids stay safe?
I would definitely say two things is that is the life jackets. That's super important. Here at Lifetime, we only allow USA Coast Guard approved, which means that it is foam inside and not inflatable. Just on the off chance that the inflatable life jacket pops, then that kid's flotation device is compromised and that could lead to a bad situation. But on top of that, I would also say making sure parents are staying attentive to their kids in the water, making sure they're not on their phones or being distracted by having a conversation with other parents on the side. That is super important as well.
And Elena, if people want to get some more information about taking those classes at Lifetime, where can they find all that information?
You can go onto our website and find that information under swim or aquatics. And I know here at our location, if we have new members that add juniors onto their account, we do give them a complimentary month of swim lessons. So that's always a good plus side here if they want to get introduced into those swim lessons and see if it's the right fit. But yes, if they ever come in and ask the front desk, we can always come up there, give them some information ourselves as well.
And Elena, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel is important to mention?
I would just say making sure you're staying alert, whether you're a parent, it's a sibling watching out for their children, or you're just a bystander at the pool. Just staying alert no matter where you are is super important, because even if it's not your responsibility, your kid watching, it's not going to hurt to stay alert to those kids in the water if you can help them.
There we go. I was going to say, Elena, thank you so much. Some important information that you're sharing there. We appreciate you. We'll have all this information on our website for how you can sign up at Lifetime Collierville, get in on those classes, and make sure that you're staying safe out there in the water. Elena, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.